welcome to Self-Watch TV, where economics is made so easy. Here, when you come, we teach economics, and economics is be understood so easily. So let us move on to today's discussion. And the topic that we are going to treat for today is theory of cost. We are going to deal with theory of cost. I know many of us have perception or have an idea what cost is. Definitely cost, someone will say that cost is a price for a commodity. The definition of cost. Now let me give you this scenario. I want to build a house. I want to set up a business. Now setting up a business and building a house, you have to buy certain materials, certain things that we will use in producing or in building that house. You have to get some materials in setting up your business. So example, the business that we are going to deal with, let's say we are dealing with a Sobolo factory. Sobolo factory. Sobolo, there are a lot of things that you need in producing or setting up the factory of Sobolo. There are a lot of things you need in setting up Sobolo factory. Now, you are going to get, let's say, our machines. You are going to get our, your Sobolo leaves. Your leaves. You are going to get your gas. You are going to get your cylinder. You are going to get your caps. You are going to get your bottle. Now these are some of the things you will need in setting up your Sobolo factory. You will get your building. You will get your laborers or your workers. Now all these things are some. There are a lot of things you have to need to set up your Sobolo factory, but these are some of the things that you will need to. Now you have to buy all these things before you can start producing your Sobolo. So now the expenditure of buying all these things, the expenditure of getting all these things is called the cost. The expenditure incurring when you are assembling all these things are called cost. So for you to get your machines, you have to buy your machines, you have to buy your Sobolo leaves, you have to buy your gas, your cylinder, you have to buy your cups, you have to buy your bottle, you have to buy your building, you have to set up your building, that is buying the cement and other things to set up. Some will even go and hire the room or the house or the factory to do it. You have to pay your workers. Now all these things, when you assemble all of them to one place, it is called cost. And so when you talk about cost is the expenditure incurred on the assembling all factors of production. So the expenditure incurred on the assembling of all the factors of production is called cost. So machine is a factor of production. Leaves is a factor of production. Gas is a factor of production. Cylinder is a factor of production. Cups is a factor of production. Bottle is a factor of production, and the rest. So we can types of cost. We're going to do the types of cost. So type of cost, we have the explicit cost. We have the implicit cost. We have the accounting cost. We have the economics or economics cost, we have the money cost, and we have so on and so on. There are a lot. So we are going to take this 5 for the meantime. With time, we are going to our next class. I will get time and go to the types of costs and explain more for you. So let's take the explicit cost. The explicit cost. The explicit cost. It is now when we deal with the types, we have the cost, which is so much unless like buying things outside. Let's take this example. When someone is trying to set up a business, let's say when someone is trying to sell tomatoes. Now, not everything that the person will go and buy. There are some things that the person would definitely take from the house and bring it on board, right? So let's assume I am going to set up my tomatoes business. Now, my tomato business, there are some things I will definitely buy, and there are some things I can bring it from my house. So those things that I am bringing from my house is a different thing. But the one I'm going to buy outside is called the explicit cost. So tomato business. So the explicit cost is they are payment that are made for resources purchased from outside. Right, so they are resources which are definitely purchased from outside. So example of these resources, or example of this explicit cost can be electricity. Can also be rent. Can also be raw materials. Can also be transportation. Right? All these things can be bought outside or can be purchased outside. So the expenditure incurred in payment or buying resources outside is called the explicit cost, or their payment that are made for resources purchased from outside. So let me give you an example here. Assuming I'm doing my tomato, I'm going to sell my tomatoes. Now I'm going to sell my tomatoes. I will need certain things. I will need my tomatoes itself. I will need my table. I will need I will need rubber. That is the rubber that we use to cover the tomatoes when maybe no one is buying, to avoid flies. And also we can get poly bag. Let me make it poly bag. The one you are going to fetch the tomatoes inside when someone is buying it. So now these things I am going to get to start my tomato business. Tomatoes, I have to buy it outside. So this is an example of explicit cost. Now I can choose to bring the table in my house. So this one I'm not buying, I'm bringing it from my house. It is not an explicit cost because I am not purchasing it outside. Rubber, I have some in the house, so I am not going to incur any cost on that because I'm not going to buy it. But the poly bag, I don't have it. But what am I going to do? I'll buy it. So that one to also become an example of what? Explicit cost. Now let's go to the next one, which is called the implicit cost, or the imputed cost. So when you talk about the imputed or the implicit cost, now this is also called the opportunity cost, right? The opportunity cost, which the opportunity cost of the firm's resources, right? So the resources that the firms or the owner makes them available for production. So it is whereby the firm or the owner makes those resources available for production. So implicit costs are the firms are the opportunity cost. Opportunity cost of the resources the firm makes it available for production without direct cash outlay without direct cash outlay. So when you say direct cash outlay, it means that without going to buy it, without taking money to buy it, that is the direct cash outlay. So the implicit cost or the imputed cost or the opportunity cost, right? They are the resource that the firm makes them available for production without any direct cash outlay. So like the example I made here, the tomatoes, I said at the table I'll bring it. So the table, I'm not going to buy it, it's mine. So it becomes the what? Implicit. So this one is the implicit. The rubber too, I'm not going to what? Buy it. I have them in the house. So that one is also be what? Implicit cost. So we can get a difference now. We have the explicit, that which we can buy it, purchase outside. Implicit, the one we cannot purchase outside, but we can what? Get it from ourselves. We are not going to get it. So example of this implicit cost, example is called the managerial skills. Right. So like managerial skills, the firm itself may have the skills to run its own production. Like the tomatoes, I'm the one that have the skills already. So I'm not going to hire anyone to come and do it for me. I have the skills already. So that one is an example. We have the financial resources. I am not going to let someone come and invest, or someone to bring his. I have my own money. I can start up with my own business. So it is from me, not from anyone, right? We have another example which is also called the owners occupied building. Owners occupied building, and it is there a lot. Right, the thing that the owner himself is ready and willing to bring on board. Right, he's not going to buy it. He's not going to outlay cash. He's just directly bringing it from his house or from personally bringing it out, and that one is called the implicit cost. Now we are going to the next one, which is called let me talk about the economist cost. Now, the economics cost, this refers to the sum of implicit, some of the implicit, and explicit cost. This is trying to let us know this. When you talk about economics cost, we are dealing with the economists, right? With the economists. With the economists, we don't deal with only explicit or implicit cost. We have to combine the implicit and the explicit cost. So every economist, when making his findings or when trying to make his analysis, he deals with the cost of buying things outside and also the cost of the things that the the firm is bringing on board. But when you talk about the accounting cost, with this one is talking about the accountant. What do they deal with? If you're a business student, you know that accounting, they deals with physical things that we can see. Money, they deals with money. They deals with money receipts. So they won't always deals with the explicit cost, but not implicit. Why are they much concerned about that? Right? Because they are concerned about the payment which is being made. A payment which is what being made. So when they see that, okay, I have bought this, I have bought that, where the receipts, I have the receipts here. Now when you combine all of them to it, they are concerned about that. But they're not concerned about, okay, this table is mine. No, they're not concerned about that. This chair is mine. I'm bringing it on board. They don't deal with that. But they deal with the cost which can be seen, the explicit one, the payment of goods and service, the payment for resources, right? So the payment made in order to get all these resources is called the accounting cost. Now we have the money cost. So money cost, I just want to make it fast. So now money cost refers to the amount of money spent to procure or get an item, right? So it refers to the money spent to get an item is called the money cost. So when I'm going to get an item, the money that I'll use in purchasing that item, the money that I'll use to get those items is called the money cost. Now let's move on to the short run cost. Short run cost analysis. Right. So short run cost analysis. Now the short run cost analysis comprises fixed cost and variable cost. It comprises the fixed cost and the variable cost. So we are going to classify the fixed cost, we are going to classify the variable cost, right? So the short run means that some of the goods will be fixed, some of the resources will be fixed, some of them will be variable. We are going to learn what is termed by fixed cost, what is termed by variable cost. And so let's look at the fixed cost. Now, fixed cost, right? Fixed cost is the expenditure expenditure made on fixed input the expenditure made on what? Fixed input. So let me take you back to this one, the Sobolo factory. Now the Sobolo factory, let's take that example. Let's look at the fixed and the variable cost. So we are going to set up a Sobolo factory. The thing that we may need, definitely things that we have to get before we produce Sobolo. As we said earlier, you have to get our leaves. We have to get, that's the Sobolo leaves. Sorry, let me make it into bracket or put it in brackets. Sobolo leaves. You get our fridge. You see, you have to get our fridge to put our Sobolo inside for it to freeze. For me, I like chill Sobolo. We can also have our pot, or we can get our cylinder. We can have our tables. We can have our sugar. We can have our knives. You see, they are all important. We can have what else? Yeah, there are a lot. There are a lot. But let us stick to this. Let us stick to this. Now this and this and this and this and this and this and this. Which of them do you think will change when we produce first set of Sobolo? We are going to produce another set of Sobolo. Which of them are we going to buy again? And which of them are we not going to buy again? So the one that we will buy again is called the variable input. And the one we will not buy again when we are producing the next set of Sobolo is called the fixed input. So let's take these leaves. When you are going to produce, when you produce the first one, the leaves will not be will be of no use. So this one, when it's of no use, the next one you should buy another set of what? Leaves. So this one becomes variable because it changes. Now fridge, when you put the Sobolo in a fridge, when you take it out, you can put another set of Sobolo in the fridge. You can take it all out, but the fridge wouldn't what? Change. So it means that it's a fixed what? Input. Pot 2, it doesn't change. When you boil the Sobolo inside, when you pour the Sobolo out, you can still maintain the same pot and still what? Use it. So it becomes your what? Fixed. Cylinder 2 wouldn't what? Change, because when you finish your first set of Sobolo when you're going to produce a second set of Sobolo or second production, that cylinder you still what? Maintain it. So it become what? Fixed. Table 2 wouldn't what? Change. So it's all fixed. Sugar would definitely change. You have to buy another what? Sugar. So that one will be what? Variable. And the knife too will also definitely what? Will never change. Because the same knife we use for the first one, still the same knife for the what? The second one. So that one to become what? Fixed. So now you have the fixed input. So the fixed inputs do not change. Does not change. They are fixed when you are in production process. Let me say it that way. It is fixed in production process. So they are fixed input, or fixed costs are fixed input, or the cost in incurring fixed input. Let me take it that way. Let me take it again. Fixed costs are the costs incurred in assembling fixed input. Right? So, and when you talk about fixed input, they are the things which will not change in the production what? Process. Things wouldn't change in the production process. So we have the fridge, it wouldn't change the production process. Pot, it wouldn't change in the production process. Table, it wouldn't change the production process. Sugar, it will definitely change, right? But knife will never change the production process. So the one which will not change in production process are called the fixed input. So the cost incurred in assembling the fixed input, or the cost the expenditure made on fixed input are called, or is called, fixed costs. Fixed cost. So now let's move on to the variable cost. Let's move on to the variable cost. let's move on to the variable cost. Now we have the variable cost. Okay, before then, let us draw the curve for fixed cost. The curve for fixed cost. Now, so let's assume that your fixed cost is, let's say, 50. So production 1, let me take it here. So production 1, fixed cost. So no, this is production. So production 1, our fixed cost is 20. Our production 2, it will still be 20 because it has not changed. We're not going to buy again, so it still be the same, 20. Production 3 is still going to what? 20. Exactly. It doesn't change. So there's something when you're producing, there are some of the expend or the things that you need not to buy it 2 times or 3 times in a short run. So the short run is very short that you can't change everything. You can change some, but not everything. So the one you can't change is called a fixed input, and the one you can change is called a variable input. So in the production process and fixed cost, so the fixed cost, production 1, the fixed cost will be 20, production 2, the fixed cost will also be 20, and production 3, the fixed cost will also be what? 20. So now let's look at something. Let's draw the curve for it. So let's draw the curve for it. So this one becomes your cost, and this one becomes your quantity. So you close your curve. So here always what? Be 0. I want to show you why fixed cost is always the same, doesn't change, and the line is vertical, horizontal. Sorry, it's horizontal. It's very horizontal. It doesn't what? It's not going up or coming down. It's straight. So let's take the production 1, which is the quantity 1. So quantity 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So quantity 1, production will be what? Let's say you have 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. So production 1, we have first cost to be what? 20. So here it will come. Production 2 factor of production will be what? A first cost will be 20. So the same thing, production 3, it will be all the 20. Production 4 and production 5, 20. So when you finish, you join them together and you see that your first cost is what? Horizontal. It doesn't change. It is horizontal. It doesn't what? Change. Okay, first cost is equal to total cost minus total variable cost. Let me write it here. So first cost, which is total first cost, is equal to total cost minus total variable cost. So that is what the formula for finding total fixed cost. Right, we will use them in calculation. So let's continue. Now let us move on to the variable cost. Variable cost. So with variable costs, we are dealing with the cost which you incur when you are assembling the variable input. Variable input means that the input which can change during production process. So example, like sugar. When you use sugar in production, it changes. Example, like water. The kind of water you will need for now will be different from the kind of water you need the next production. So it varies. That's why it's called variable input. So the cost incurred in buying or assembling all the variable inputs is called the variable cost. So variable cost is a cost of assembling all variable inputs. So we can get example to be like water. It can change during production process. Like raw materials, we have raw materials. It changes during what production process, and etc. Right. So when you have this one, it totally tells you that variable cost changes during a production process. To incur 200 total variable cost or variable cost, it means that in the next operation you can incur more or less of it, since it changes. So let us move on to see if we can be able to draw the the diagram for it. We can even have more examples to be power supply, because it changes, right? We have wages and salaries and etc. It's a lot. So since for the variable cost you should incur a cost, so when we have this is our diagram, we have the here's cost and or output, cost and our output. So always the variable cost will start from zero. It starts from 0, it goes like this. So this one gives our total variable cost. Now let me show you the reason why it starts from the 0. It means that at output 0, if there has not been any production, now we don't need to incur any variable cost. Because variable costs, you will need them when you are about to produce. And so if I am not ready to start production, that is output 0. If there is no output 0, which means there will not be any cost. That's why every variable cost starts from 0. But the first cost, definitely before we start production, we may incur a cost already by assembling the building, all those things. So all those things at output 0, we should have a cost which we'll call the first cost, because already we have bought or we have incurred or we have been assembling those costs or those inputs. Those inputs. And so this one, because at output 0 there has not been any production, we will not have any cost incurred. Okay, so now let us move on to the total cost. The total cost. Now cost. The total cost. Now for the formula for total variable cost, the total variable cost is equal to total cost minus total fixed cost. So total variable cost equals total cost minus total fixed cost. Alright, so now let's go to the total cost. Now the total cost is the overall expenditure incurred in producing a given quantity of a commodity. So it's a total expenditure incurred in producing a commodity. So if I want to produce a commodity, the cost I will incur after I have produced that commodity is called total cost. So you can see that it will be a combination of total fixed cost and total variable cost. The reason why it will be a total fixed cost and total variable cost, because those are the costs incurred in production. And so when you add all those variables, all those costs together, we are going to get total cost. And so a total cost is the overall expenditure incurred in producing a given quantity or a given commodity, a quantity of a commodity. I hope you get it. So it will definitely be the combination. So total cost is equal to the combination of total fixed cost plus the total variable cost. So numerically or mathematically, our total cost will be addition of the total fixed cost and the total variable cost. So when you want to draw the diagram for this, here will be our cost, here will be our output. So you close your graph. Since it is a combination of total fixed cost and total variable cost, it's going to be a combined cost. And so we know that total fixed cost doesn't start from zero. It starts from anywhere apart from zero. So since it doesn't start from zero, we will start from where total fixed cost will start from. And when it starts from here, we know that total fixed cost is always constant, but variable cost changes. So where total fixed cost will start, that's where we will add up our variable cost. So that is where, let's assume that this is where total fixed cost will start. So we just add our our total variable cost, and that will give us our total cost. Total cost is the combination of total fixed cost and total variable cost. I hope you are getting it. So there's so many ways we can go. There are so many ways you can get it. Exactly. So another thing I have to let you know is when you want to know your total cost. Now, total cost of output 0 is equal to total fixed cost. The reason I'm saying is this: total cost of output 0 is equal to total fixed cost. It means that at total output 0, there has no been any production, but we will have incurred something called total fixed cost. And so at that output 0, your total cost would definitely be total fixed cost. Because before, even if you have not started production, we have bought some fixed input. And so at output 0, we will definitely have incurred a cost, and that cost is called the total fixed cost. And so if you want to know your total cost of output 0, it will be total fixed cost. It's equal to total cost of output 0. We will do calculation of it and we will understand it better. So now we are moving on to something called average fixed cost. Average fixed cost. So average fixed cost. So now when we deal with average fixed cost, whenever you see anything called average is a unit, is a cost per unit of output, right? So when you talk about average fixed cost, is the amount of total fixed cost per unit of output produced. So average fixed cost is the amount of total fixed cost per unit of output produced. So now when you want to know your calculation or your formula for finding total average fixed cost will be equal to total fixed cost all over quantity. All over quantity. And so let me give an example. Let's say our total fixed cost is equal to 20. and our quantity is equal to 4. Calculate for average first cost. So it's going to be average first cost is equal to, what's our total first cost? 20. Over what is our quantity? 4. So with this, average first cost is equal to 20 divided by 4. 20 divided by 4 will definitely give you what? 5. And so our average first cost is equal to what? 5. Exactly. And so our average first cost is total first cost divided by quantity. Now let's look at how a diagram looks like. It is an hyperbole because it does not attain 0. It's hyperbola because it does not attain what? 0. So the diagram, the its curve goes down like this, but it will never attain what? 0 output. So that will give you an average what? First cost. So this one will be cost, this one will be what? Output. So let us move on to average. Now we are done with average first cost. You are going to average variable cost. So average variable cost is also called the amount of total variable cost per unit of output produced. Amount of total variable cost per unit of output produced. So is the amount of total variable cost per unit of output produced. So we can say that our average variable cost in mathematical or its formula is average variable cost is equal to total variable cost all over output. So which means that, let's assume that example, total variable cost is equal to 80. Our output is equal to 5. So now we should find for our average variable cost. So it's going to be average variable cost equal to our total variable cost is what? 80 divided by our quantity is given to us by what? 5. 16, and that will give you your average variable cost. I hope it's clear. So now let's look at its diagram or its curve. The curve for average variable cost. So our curve, now we have our what do you call it? Our cost here and our output what here. So the average variable cost is going to be in a U what shape. It's going to be in U shape. So we have our average what variable cost. It's going to be a U shape. Now let's move on to the next one, which is called your average cost. Average cost or average total what? Cost. Average cost or average total cost. This total, sorry. Average cost or average total cost. They are all the same. When you see average cost, it's the same as average total cost. All right. There's the same way the average total cost or average cost, it is the cost per unit of output produced. Is the cost per unit of output was produced. Is the cost per unit of output produced. And so it is the cost per unit of output produced. That is what term by average total cost. So now average total cost, its formula is average total cost. Average total cost is equal to total cost divided by output, or average total cost is equal to average fixed cost plus average variable cost. Right? So now let me give you example. If total cost is equal to 700 and output is equal to 5, what will be your average total cost? So average total cost will be equal to 100 divided by what? 5. 100 divided by 5. So now 100 divided by 5 will give you 20. And that will give you your average total cost. Or better still, let's use this one to also find for your average total cost. So we can use the previous example. Let's say our average fixed cost, based on our example, our average fixed cost is equal to what? 5. Equal to 5. And our average variable cost is equal to what? 16. It's equal to 16. So for us to find our average total cost is equal to, our average cost is 5 plus our average variable cost is what? 16. And we are getting what? 21. So we have used this one to solve it and we are getting an answer. We use this one to solve, we are getting an answer. I hope we understand what we are doing. Okay. So now I want to give example, a practical example, which will combine all of them. Then we go to marginal cost. So I want us to join all of them together before we go to the marginal cost. Or better still, let me add the marginal cost to it so that we can be able to combine all of them in our mathematical or in our example we are going to deal with. So marginal cost. So the marginal cost, it is the additional cost incurred by producing an extra unit of output. So I want to explain this further for us to understand. Right now, I produce my output. Maybe I'm producing 20 sobolo, right? I'm producing 20 what? Sobolo. Now, when I produce the first sobolo, I incur 20 total cost. Now, when I produce the next sobolo, which will be the second output of sobolo, I may get total cost of about 30. So now, the additional cost I incurred in producing the second output becomes our what? Marginal cost. So per year, producing the first output, I'm getting total cost of 20. Second output, I'm getting total cost of what? 30. So what it will be the additional cost? Additional cost I am incurring of producing the output of what? 2. And the answer will be 30 minus 20, which will give you what? 10. So our marginal cost will be what? 10. Right? So as we produce, anytime our first production, the total cost may be different. But in our second production too, our total cost will be different. But now we want to see the difference of total cost we have incurred, the additional cost we have incurred. And so when we look at that and we get an answer, it will give us our marginal what? Cost. And so mathematically, our marginal cost is a change in total cost all over change in output, or change in total variable cost all over change in what? Output. So when you have marginal cost, you can use total cost to calculate for marginal cost, and you can use the variable cost to also to look for your marginal cost. Right? So the curve for marginal cost, the curve for marginal cost, the curve for marginal cost and output is also what in U shape. Right? Because when you are starting, your marginal cost begin to what? Reduce. When you start, if your marginal cost begin to what? Reduce. As you are producing, your marginal cost start to what? Reduce. Your cost begin to what? Reduce. Your cost begin to what? Reduce. Before it gets to its what? Minimum. Before it gets to its minimum and start to what? Increase. And start to increase. And so when you start producing, you see that your cost will be reducing. Your marginal cost will be reducing because you'll be getting profit, or you'll be getting additional profit, which will make your marginal cost begin to what? Reduce now. But when they get to reduce, because you have already purchased or you already have incurred your total fixed cost, it will definitely reduce. But it will get to a point whereby your marginal cost will attain what? 0. Now, when it attains 0, that's within the short run. When it attains 0, you realize that some of the fixed costs are now beginning to what? Destroy, begin to worn out, and you have to be changing them. So when you change them, you see that your cost is now what? Will begin to what? Increase. And then, which means that your curve, when it reduces, get to its minimum, it start to what? Increase, because of the worn out of the margin, the fixed cost, and also buying additional what? Variable cost. So your marginal cost will give you what? A U shape. And it is so because of the law of diminishing returns. The law of what? Diminishing returns. So it is when a firm is enjoying increasing returns, each additional output increases, but very, very what? Little to cost. Hence, the fall of what? Your marginal cost. Now, when diminishing returns sets in, more is added to cost than output. This causes your marginal cost to what? To rise. Okay, so now I want us to solve a question. So that we all will understand how the mathematical aspect of it goes.